A gland in your neck the size of a butterfly may be the reason you are tired all the time, cold when everyone else is comfortable, and slowly gaining weight without changing a thing you eat. And most people in their 40s and 50s who have this never find out, because every single sign gets blamed on one lazy word: age. I am Dr. Hale. In my 15 years in internal medicine, I have watched this one slip past more often than almost anything else I treat. A patient sits across from me, worn down, puffy, foggy, sure they are just getting older. And a simple blood test tells a different story. Their thyroid, the little gland that sets the speed of the entire body, has quietly downshifted. The good news is that once you know the signs, they are hard to miss. So today, I am going to walk you through 7 of them, counting down. And the one at number 1 is the sign people wave off the most, even though it is often shouting the loudest. Let me give you the picture that makes all of this make sense, because once you have it, every symptom clicks into place. Think of your thyroid as the thermostat for your whole body. It sits low in the front of your neck, and it releases hormone that tells nearly every cell how fast to run. When the thermostat is set right, you burn energy at a steady pace, you stay comfortably warm, your gut keeps moving, your mind stays sharp. When the thyroid slows down and puts out too little hormone, the thermostat drops. And when the thermostat drops, the whole house gets cold, slow, and dim. Doctors call that underactive state hypothyroidism. You can just call it the thermostat turned down. According to the American Thyroid Association, this is one of the most common hormone conditions there is, and it becomes more likely as we age. It shows up far more often in women than in men, and the odds climb after 60, especially after menopause. But here is what I need you to hear, because this channel is for the whole second half of life. It does not wait for 60. It can begin in your 40s, even your 30s, and simmer quietly for years. So this is not a someday problem. This is a watch for it now problem. And it helps to know why it happens, because it takes the mystery out of it. In this country, the most common reason a thyroid slows down is not something you did wrong. It is an autoimmune condition, where the immune system slowly turns on the thyroid and dials it down over time. Doctors call it Hashimoto's, and it is the leading cause of an underactive thyroid here. It tends to run in families, and it becomes more likely with age and after menopause, which is a big part of why women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond carry so much of the load. There is nothing shameful in it and nothing you could have eaten your way out of. It is simply a common wearing down of a small gland, and it is one of the most fixable problems in medicine once someone finally looks for it. Let me count them down. Sign number 7 is constipation. When the thermostat drops, everything slows, and that includes the muscles that move food through your gut. The National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases lists constipation as a classic feature of an underactive thyroid. Picture a conveyor belt that used to hum along and now barely crawls. Things back up. Most people reach for more fiber or more water, which is reasonable, but if the belt itself has slowed because of the thyroid, no amount of fiber fully fixes it. This one rarely travels alone, so hold it in mind as we go. Sign number 6 is dry skin, and often dry, brittle hair and nails to match. When your metabolism runs slow, your skin cells turn over more slowly, and your skin holds less moisture. People describe it as rough, flaky, sometimes itchy, worse in the cold months. Now, plenty of things dry out skin, and winter air is one of them, so on its own this proves nothing. But dry, coarse skin that will not respond to any lotion, showing up alongside the other signs, is a flag the American Thyroid Association points to again and again. Sign number 5 is feeling cold when no one else does. This one goes straight back to the thermostat. Thyroid hormone helps set how much heat your body produces. So when it runs low, you generate less warmth. You are the person reaching for a sweater in a room everyone else finds fine. You want socks on in bed. Your hands and feet stay cold. If you have started losing a small tug of war over the thermostat in your own house, that is worth noticing. Sign number 4 is thinning hair, and there is a specific version that makes doctors think of the thyroid right away. Hair everywhere can thin and shed more than usual. But watch the outer edge of your eyebrows. When the outer third of the eyebrow thins out, that is a pattern long associated with an underactive thyroid. It is not something everyone with the condition gets, and thinning brows can have other causes, so I will not oversell it. But it is a quiet clue that too few people know to look for, and now you do. Sign number 3 is unexplained weight gain. This is the one that frustrates people the most, and I understand why. When your thyroid slows, your body burns fewer calories at rest. The engine idles lower. So the weight creeps up even though you have not changed how you eat, and no diet seems to touch it, because you are fighting a metabolism that has been quietly turned down. Now let me be honest and be a debunker for a moment, because this is important. An underactive thyroid usually causes a modest gain, often from a slower metabolism and from holding on to extra fluid. It is not the reason for large amounts of weight, and treating the thyroid is not a weight loss shortcut. Anyone selling thyroid support pills for fat loss is selling you something. What the thyroid explains is that stubborn, unexpected creep that arrives with the other signs. If you are watching this and even 2 or 3 of these are landing, do me a favor before we get to the top of the list. Take 1 second and subscribe to Dr. Hale, and tell me in the comments how old you are, because the age of the people watching genuinely shapes what I cover next. All right, the top 3, and number 1 is the one nearly everyone gets wrong. Sign number 2 is brain fog, low mood, and a memory that feels a step behind. When the thermostat drops, your brain runs slower too. People describe it as thinking through fog, losing words, feeling flat or down for no clear reason. This is where it gets genuinely dangerous, and I mean that. In older adults especially, this fog and low mood get labeled as depression, or as the early worry of memory loss, when the real cause is a thyroid that is simply low. Mayo Clinic notes that low mood and trouble with memory and concentration are common features of an underactive thyroid. That matters, because a mislabel sends people down the wrong road for years. A blood test can tell the difference in a single draw. And sign number 1, the one people dismiss the most, is unrelenting fatigue, not ordinary tiredness. A bone-deep exhaustion that a full night of sleep does not touch. You wake up already drained. You could nap at noon and still crawl through the afternoon. Coffee stops helping. This is the most common sign of an underactive thyroid, and it is also the easiest to explain away, because everyone is tired, and every busy adult past 40 assumes fatigue is just the price of a full life. So the loudest signal your body sends gets ignored precisely because it is so common. That is the trap. If your tiredness has become a constant, heavy fog rather than a passing dip, do not shrug it off as age. Ask why. Let me tell you about a patient. I will call her Diane, and she is a composite of many people I have seen. 55 years old, an elementary school teacher, the kind of person who never sits still. Over about 2 years she changed, slowly enough that no one caught it. She was exhausted by early afternoon. She had put on weight without touching her meals. She kept a cardigan on her chair in a warm classroom. Her skin went dry, her hair thinned at the temples, and she quietly worried her memory was going, because she kept losing the thread mid-sentence. She had been to more than one appointment, and left with the same word each time: age. Menopause. Stress. Nobody had connected the dots, because each piece on its own looked so ordinary. It was only when someone finally added them together and ran a simple thyroid blood test that the whole picture came into focus. One test. Years of answers. That is the lesson under Diane's story. Any one of these signs is easy to dismiss. 3 or 4 of them together are a pattern, and a pattern deserves a test. The thyroid rarely knocks on just one door. It turns the whole house down a notch at once, which is why the signs travel in a group, and why the group is the real signal, not any single symptom on its own. So how do you actually find out? Here is the honest and reassuring part. You cannot diagnose this from a video, and neither can I. The only way to know is a blood test, and it is a simple one. The main test measures a signal called TSH, which is basically the message your brain sends to tell the thyroid to work harder. When the thyroid is sluggish, the brain shouts louder, and that TSH number climbs. It is a routine, inexpensive test that any doctor can order. The American Thyroid Association actually suggests that adults consider periodic thyroid screening as they get older. So this is not an exotic request. You are allowed to ask for it. And do not talk yourself out of asking just because your signs are mild or mixed. This is a slow slide, not a light switch. And there is a large gray zone where the thyroid is drifting down but has not fully bottomed out. In that early stretch, the number on the test may be only a little off, and the symptoms may be only a little annoying, easy to blame on a busy season of life. That is exactly the window where catching it early spares you years of feeling half yourself. You do not have to wait until you tick every box on the list. A few signs that are real to you are reason enough to test. Now let me be a straight-talking debunker one more time, because the internet is full of noise on this. You do not need a special panel from an online lab to start. You do not need iodine pills or kelp or thyroid glandular supplements, and some of those can actually cause harm. If your thyroid is genuinely underactive, the treatment is usually a steady daily dose of thyroid hormone that simply replaces what your gland is no longer making, taken under a doctor's care, adjusted by that same blood test. It is one of the more manageable conditions in all of medicine once it is found. The whole challenge is finding it. Let me also be clear about when this becomes urgent, because a very underactive thyroid, left unchecked for a long time, is not harmless. If you or someone you love shows severe drowsiness or confusion, a very slow heart rate, a dangerously low body temperature, or unusual swelling of the face, that is not a wait-and-see situation. That is a call for medical help now. Those are rare, but they are real, and they are the far end of a thermostat that has been ignored too long. And if you are already on thyroid medication, do not change your dose on your own, based on how you feel. That is a conversation with your doctor, guided by your labs. So let us bring this together into what to actually do this week. Here is your short list. 1. Take an honest inventory. Run back through the 7 signs: unrelenting fatigue, brain fog and low mood, unexplained weight gain, thinning hair including the outer brow, feeling cold, dry skin, constipation. Count how many fit you right now, not last year. 2. If 3 or more fit, write them down as a group, with roughly when each started. A list beats a vague, "I have not felt right lately," and it helps your doctor see the pattern you now see. 3. At your next visit, ask directly for a thyroid blood test, a TSH, to start. You do not need to justify it. Bring your list. 4. Skip the online thyroid support supplements. If your thyroid is slow, it needs the right diagnosis and, if warranted, real replacement hormone, not kelp pills. And one clear line before we finish, because it matters. Everything I gave you today is education, not a diagnosis, and it is not a substitute for your own doctor, who can order the test and read it in the context of your whole health. I do not know your labs or your history. What I can tell you is that this is common, it is findable, and it is treatable, and the only thing standing between many people and feeling like themselves again is a single blood draw nobody thought to order. Here is the thread I want to leave you with. The thyroid is one gland that quietly runs your metabolism, but it is not the only master switch in your body that slips with age and hides behind the word aging. There is another one, tied to your blood sugar and your energy, that can creep up for years while your standard checkup still looks fine, until suddenly it does not. In my next video, I am going to show you the early warning signs of that one, the ones that show up long before a diagnosis. Subscribe so it lands in front of you. Whether you are 45 or 75, you are never too early and never too late to get this checked. And the version of you a year from now, warm, clear-headed, and back to yourself, will be grateful you paid attention today. I am Dr. Hale. Take care of yourself.